Welcome to the Beyond the Vines podcast, where I interview local business owners in Sonoma County to highlight small business and grow our community. I'm your host, Amy Ehlers, a mom, realtor, and Sonoma County native, and I'm excited to connect you to some amazing people in this beautiful area that we call home. Welcome back to the Beyond the Vines podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. I love that I have the opportunity to bring in so many different businesses and so many different people. I'm thinking of my last two episodes was mortgages and financial advising. And then today I'm here with Jenessa Wyatt. She's a psychic medium. And I just think it's so amazing to have the opportunity to bring all of these different people in. I am thrilled about today's episode. I can't wait to learn more about Jenessa. I have had the opportunity to hear her on other podcasts. I am amazed by her abilities and her talent, and I'm so excited to have her here today. So with that, welcome, Jenessa.
Well, hey, I'm happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. And I know you've been traveling, so I'm so glad you're back, and I was able to nail you down for this.
East Coast, West Coast, and everything in between.
That's amazing. For work?
Half was for work, yeah. They had the Lord Baltimore Hotel hired me to do readings. I got to go on Good Morning Baltimore and do a segment with the newscasters. Oh my gosh. And it was remarkable. It was remarkable.
Okay, so this podcast studio is like small potatoes compared to what you've been doing.
I mean, no, it's actually not. I'm very appreciative for everything.
Amazing. So can you tell us more about your journey into becoming a psychic medium and what led you to embrace this career path?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was very little, I saw spirit, full apparitions. Wow. They led me to do some crazy things that a child will never know. One instance I had when I was 4.5 or so, my dad is a retired homicide detective and for SRPD. And when back then he was a B cop. And so in his closet was a gun and obviously bullets, right? So I was 4.5-ish and my parents were having a cop party in the other room. And I call it that because there's so many other stories involved with cop parties, but just different day, different thing.
Different theme.
Different theme. And so I got a ladder. I got the gun down. I pulled out a bullet.
No way.
I put the bullet on a pillow. I put a lamp over the bullet. And come to find out behind the wall was my mom's head. And so this was led by a male spirit. And full circle, they weren't my parents.
Whoa.
Right. So it was very interesting to be guided to do, and my dad caught me. And he's like, what are you doing?
And why, I'm sure.
And I was like, I don't know. This guy told me to. He's right there. He told me what to do. And not knowing how bullets work, even as an adult, and I have a gun license, I don't know how they work, that's, the heat would cause it to go off. It could cause it to kick off. Yeah. So it was things like that were just bizarre, random things that you would never, a child, even some adults wouldn't know how to do.
No, I would not have known that. Yeah.
So then it went into many years of seeing spirit, seeing apparitions, and then it went into a lot of intuition with the apparitions. So as I see someone come in into a room, I'm asking weird questions like, who are you? What role did you play in that person's life? Why are you even here? To be honest, though, it was about 22 years drunk in bars. Yeah. People would know me in Sebastopol, especially. Sorry, old Maine. For the amount of people I broke up their marriages, relationships. I knew. And so it got really inappropriate. Yeah. So it just got to a point where people knew me for that reason. And then I had a dream about 5 years ago that said, quit being irresponsible with your gift. Wow. And do it as a business. And here I am. Wow. Right.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I was introduced to you from Hillary with the She Can Club. Yep. So she's helping you brand your business and get you.
She did, yes.
Wow, amazing.
She was a skeptic. And so.
That's right. I think I knew that.
Yeah. So before I even had a website or even a real Facebook. Right. I was doing it off a pug wall calendar, like part-time. I was like, all right, so 7 p.m. I have Cheryl on FaceTime. Wow. She paid $50 via PayPal.
Oh my gosh. I would like to pay you $50 via PayPal. I have a feeling that's not your going rate anymore.
Not anymore, we can talk.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she was a skeptic, and within that hour, she was completely blown away. And we made a deal together where she would help elevate my career. As far as the business side goes, I don't know about any of that. Right. If I could keep giving people readings from her as a gift.
Oh, that's amazing.
To help them feel the way she felt that day.
What a great trade you did.
She's a remarkable human being.
She really is. She's an incredible person in this community. Yeah. So, wow, that is amazing. So can you explain, now that you're not in a bar in Sebastopol, now that you have your business running. Can you explain the different services you offer, such as psychic readings, mediumship sessions, spiritual coaching? Tell us all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much do all of that depending on the clientele. So the first thing I ask when people come to my office is I say, or on Zoom, I say things like, are you here for guidance for where you're at in life right now, what you're going through? I'll utilize people who've passed in your life, friends, family, etc., to give information to me of what you're going through, what your marriage is like. I try to utilize all of my history of my life to understand you guys better.
Wow.
So if I see husband number 2, then I'm
highly... Is this because you're sitting across from me right now?
Then I'm highly worried about you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Got it.
I see husband number 1, I know it's a joint venture with children. Husband number 3 is protector from husband number 2. And then I'm openly gay, so throw that in the mix too.
Wow.
Yeah. All the things in my life helps me understand you guys better.
Interesting.
Or I ask you, are you here for one person or 2 that you have to connect with? Spouses, children. I don't even ask that far. I just want to know, do I dump my energy in what you need for a person to connect with or your life?
Right.
And so that's the 2 dualities, or usually it's a little bit of both. Right? Wow. They want to know how mom's doing and if mom believes and understands and follows along with the grandchildren, et cetera. Wow. And then I can get like in the real deep part of your life, like what the kids are suffering with, what the kids are struggling with, what your husband and you need to date again. I'm not so sure if I asked a question about the podcast, if it was something I could be openly.
Yes. Yes. I think it would be fine.
They just want to be known for loving loving you and you appreciate them.
Right.
So, that being said, what I try to do is be as real with people as possible when it comes to their guidance. And even in death, when it's really sad, when they're crossed over, it's the silver lining to everything is they're all knowing and they're at rest and they're watching over you and they know who they've harmed and who they've hurt and who they helped.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And then we go into spiritual guiding. People will love to come in and at the end I'll be like, I think you actually have spiritual properties. You're a dream state analysis person, correct? And they're like, oh my God, that's what I'm known for. Remember my dreams. I'm like, I know. They told me. And so then we go into, do you want to know how to enhance that? I don't care if they book me to teach them. I'll just give them some stuff so they understand how to harness it better.
Right.
So I want all the people in the world to be understanding their gifts. We all have something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's amazing. So many people are curious about the process of connecting with the spiritual realm. Can you walk us through how you communicate with spirits, access psychic insights? How does this all... I'm trying to wrap my brain around it.
I wish I had an answer. I wish I had a better answer than it just happens for me. And those people who have deep intuition, I'm a Tauresian, so I'm born into intuition regardless, but mine's different because I actually see spirit coming in. I see energy coming in and they talk to me and they send me photos and pictures and references to my life. I turn it off when I go out. I also do not drink anymore and do readings. Okay. For the most part. It depends on my mood. But otherwise, it really honestly is focusing on you before I see you.
Right.
And I'm figuring out before you walk in the door what I know you're there for. And then bringing those people in who already came through, who already have something to say, especially when it goes into like big life choices, job changes. And someone will come in and be like, hey, I'm like, I know. Let me go over the list they gave me first.
Wow.
They gave me your middle child. This is today's instance. Your middle child, your separation to divorce, your situationship with the new person you're with, your job change, creativity, and addition in June, your mom's health, according to her, your grandmother, who has a condition like her, who she died from genetically, and your father's mental illness that has been activated stronger in the last year, and now it's going to go downward spiral again in August. She just sat there like, that was my list. That was my list.
Like the spirit world, essentially, am I wording that right, brought you all of that information before you even spoke with the person.
Yeah, and most of it, and then when they sit down, it gets solidified. Because then it's like, as they're talking about, oh, nice to meet you. I like your office. I've been following you. As they're talking to me, I'm just like, feed me. And so when I kick off, I already have things to, that's my only way, I think, of validating what I do. It isn't necessarily the exact name of somebody. But if I know that you're going on vacation in June and it's by yourself without your husband, it's called an affair, in June without your children, and it's only the two of you guys because you guys haven't had a date night in a long time and it's very important you go, and no one else knew that? You just booked it last night?
Wow.
How do I know that? Wow. How is it important to you? Or a discussion you have to have about your mental health.
Yeah.
Because you've been suffering or something's wrong, you're not dealing with it. So now you're WebMDing yourself and imagining it's something way bigger than it is. Go get your blood work done and find out what's going on with you.
Right.
Get it off your shoulders. So I had an incident recently with a woman who lost her partner for like 30 years, never got married. Him and her just were partners and never got engaged. In the reading, he kept showing me a man kneeling down and showing a ring. And I'm like on Zoom, it's recorded, I have the thing. And so we're sitting there and I'm like, hey, you guys didn't get engaged. You didn't find like a ring like in his house after he passed that maybe he was going to give to you and he's wishing he would have got engaged to you. And she's like, not at all. It was actually off the table.
Wow.
So I'm sitting back like, man, I'm really reading this wrong. This is really intense. And he's showing it on repeat, which for me means I'm reading it incorrectly.
Right.
When they keep saying it, I'm reading it wrong. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm still seeing the diamond and I'm seeing him proposing. So at the end of it, she's like, I need to know the signs. How does he come around? And I said, okay. And immediately he shows me a music symbol. Perfect. Music, one area. But it was tighter than that. It was one particular artist. So I said, okay, is there like one particular artist, not a band, one artist that you guys played repeatedly together during your entire relationship? She goes, oh God, yeah, Neil Diamond. Oh my God, Neil Diamond. Wow, I get you. Wow. Right. So I sat there and I sat back and she sat back. And we both went, and I was like, holy crap. Yeah. That was amazing. And I mean, I'm the biggest skeptic. Yeah. I love my woo-woo friends. They're amazing human beings. I don't have the capacity to retain all that information. Right. I'm glad they do. Yeah. And so I help utilize them and vice versa to understand stuff like that. And so when it happened, I was like, that is amazing. But her closure with him at that moment was so immense that she just sat back like, thank you so much. I don't need anything else right now. I'll talk to you in 6 months. I want him to tell me in 6 months what I've been doing the last 6 months. And now I have people like that who come every 6 months or 3 months just to like hear. Like I had a lady come in and I'm like, oh, you replaced an appliance. It's being delivered. She goes, it was delivered today. Wow. How would you know that? Yeah. It was her husband making sure she got her stuff done because he's not there to fix it. Yep. Yeah. So it's just really interesting how the littlest things can be absolutely just tremendous. I'm mind blown right now. Did you say you could turn it off? Like if you're going out, you can turn it off? Yeah, for the most part. Okay, that's nice. People do challenge me. Yeah. People who know me in Sonoma County, it's like, oh, there's that medium. Right. And then you have somebody who's like, give me the lotto numbers, lady. I'm just you're like, if I knew that. Yes. I was actually I was at Fog Belt Brewery and this guy behind me, his wife knew me and she's like, that's that medium. That's that girl. That's that woman. She's going to be on TV. Like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I was sitting there and I'm like, okay. And then the husband's like, tell me the lotto numbers. And so I sat there and I was like, So I tapped in. Yeah. And I knew that his dad passed away. His dad came through and he showed me this symbol for being disappointed in helping his mother. Whoa. They also had 2 children, both same sex. Wow. It does get a little different. These kids are different now. These kids are evolutionary shifted because you guys created children under the umbrella of computers. So these kids are highly telepathic and spiritual. They're super sensitive. Huh. The spectrum is a very great area for myself right now. And if you want to know how your kids are going through life, check the search engine. You'll know exactly what they're feeling. Yeah. They don't know how to react the way my generation does or our generation does. In fact, when you yell at them, they usually stare at you like you have 3 heads. And you're like, what's the response? Right. But search engine's going to be the way. And I have probably around 400 or 500 clients now who wrote me about that exact subject and found out their kids are hurting themselves, questioning sexuality, depression, spirituality, all the things. Right. So I turned around to the guy and I said, your dad's dead. He goes, yeah. I go, your mom is alive. He goes, yep. I go, well, he's disappointed in you for not taking care of her the way you promised you would. Whoa. His wife smacks him. And I said, you have 2 sons. And he goes, yeah. I go, you need to pay attention to the younger one. He's going through something right now with sports that he's not happy with. He didn't make a team or something. Right. And the wife hits him again. She's like, I told you. And I turned around and I said, there's your effing lotto numbers. And I walked away. Yes. Because the value of that is far greater. Yes. Wow. He did cry. I was successful. It was a win.
And you're like turning it back off to go out.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. I also believe people who book a reading, they asked for this.
Yeah.
If I just did something off the cuff, it can make people very offset. And people who are religious, respectfully, I understand their boundaries.
Right.
Or there's information the person they're with should not know.
Right.
Like affairs or money or things of that nature. So because I've been attacked multiple times, I just kind of keep it in a space where I will do what's asked and not what I believe I have to do. So I learned how to turn things off for safety.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh my goodness. That is a lot to digest. So what are some common misconceptions about psychic mediums that you encounter, and how do you clarify or dispel them?
I do the best I can on the I guess an umbrella is the right way to put it. There's going to be a whole bunch of people who feel this exactly the same way. There's atheists who think I'm one way. Religious people who think I'm manipulating spirituality to hurt or not help people. I sit in a white light. So of course people think I research social media. Of course people think that I look up people to find out. I have looked up people before, especially men. I've had men come into my office and very inappropriately booked a reading for a different reason.
Got it.
Unbeknownst to me.
Yeah.
So I get nervous.
Yeah, of course.
If I think I know you, I want to make sure I don't know you, because I don't want to. If I think your name is someone to high school with and your photo is not who I thought you were, I move on.
Right.
Because it just is a weird place for me. I'm learning it. Because I lived in Sonoma County my whole life, but that's it. I don't research anybody. I just get the feeling off a photo for a quick second, like I feel safe, or no, I'm not wrong. It's not the right person. But otherwise, I want to be as organic as possible, and I think that proves itself when I do stage shows. When I do a stage show, even though it's a 5-minute reading for 18 to 20 people over a 2-hour period, I don't know you. People's hands are being raised. They're coming up. They're crying. They're excited. They're nervous. I'm giving them a 5-minute reading based off of what I'm being shown. And when it's super personal information, again, they asked for it. They raised their hand, right? And I go out there. I don't know how else to prove otherwise of what I do besides that. And also the privacy of just things that no one knows about. I had a reading recently with a woman and a family member, and I outed an affair. When I outed the affair, the person with her had no idea. And I start off the reading with any subjects off the table before I start, because there's more than one person in here right now. And so with you guys both being here, is there anything you want to talk about? Sexual assault, infidelity? No one said anything. She didn't think I'm assuming she didn't think I'd have a gift. Because she was brought in as a friend, right? To come along with me and watch this whole thing happen. So when it happened, she just sat back in her chair and you saw her whole demeanor shift because no one knew. No one anyone in the family knew. Wow. So there's things like that. And it was actually with grace. It was a deserved situation that needed to happen. So, I mean, for me, the proof is always invalidation. As a cop's daughter, I used to go through his cold cases and tell him what I was being shown. Right. And so I've worked privately with some different law enforcement, missing people in Sonoma County. Sometimes I get to it too late, and it's like the same hours before they've published what's happening. I've already told them, unfortunately, because I'm busy. But missing people, missing evidence, things of that nature. And it makes me feel really proud because these are facts. And facts are what make the business keep growing. And I can go off feelings all day, but that I try to avoid that like the plague. Because it would be easy to say your grandma misses you. Well, unless she's an absolute jerk, she's not. She needs to come. And I also do that too. Being a half Jewish person, and my children are Black, and I'm gay, and all the things. When someone comes through racist, I always ask spirit comes through in the personality traits they had when they were alive. So I can establish who this person is. So I had a group reading. A guy comes in, calls me everything. Every horrible name real quick. Bing, 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 bing. I look at the young woman and I said, was your dad an absolute racist? And she said, the worst. Interesting. And the entire group was like, what? He had just died. Yeah. And so once I established who he was, if he would have come through and I was like, oh, he's so nice. He likes me. She would have been like, no, he wouldn't have. He would have absolutely hated you. He probably was part of the Nazi regime of some sort in NorCal. I don't even know. So I sat there and I was like, all right. And the entire room was just floored. So that's what I like to do. It's all about the facts. Period. End of story. I could tell you who loves you. They all care about you. They all love you guys once they fully ascend and figure out why they were here. Wow. Yeah.
Holy moly.
Facts.
Facts for sure. Do you
I didn't even think too about helping like law enforcement. That's incredible. Do you ever do animals?
I do not do animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do people ask you to do
all
their
the time.
animals?
It's actually on my website now before you book. There's two things. One, I don't do animals. And two, if you have someone who's passed in the last month or two, please reach out to me personally first or my assistant. And then I can establish if I feel their energy is crossed over and not waste your money.
Interesting.
Because one thing I don't do is I don't like to produce readings when I'm drained.
Yep.
Because you're not getting what you paid for. And two, I want to make sure you're getting what you came for. Right. So if someone's not crossed over, there's no point in coming to see me until that's happened so you can get all the information that needs to happen.
Yep.
That goes for quite a few things. That's happened recently in Sonoma County the last couple of years. I feel like I'm Sonoma County's murder medium.
Really?
Yeah. And so it becomes where something happens and they're in my office within a month or two. Wow. So it comes down to the facts and how I can navigate that to help produce the answers that only either they know, law enforcement knows, or the family knows privately. And when that happens, you see everyone in the group who is associated to the problem just ease up a little bit and give way to just allowing the spirit to give them information to help close things out for all the other reasons, whether it's court or jail time or who's right, who's wrong. It just helps them, and it helps them move on a little bit. It doesn't take the grief away, but it definitely alleviates some of the pressure.
Wow.
To know they're okay.
Wow. How many sessions do you do in a day without getting exhausted?
I try to do no more than 3. I just pulled my calendar back. I'm only working Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Right. At 3 a day. Because of the where my career is at right now, I've had to apologetically reschedule a ton of people who are not happy with me.
Because you've booked.
Booked, and then I have to take meetings, and I end up having things I have to go do with gigs, and that those are head priority from my agency over that. Right. So there's that, and then I'll do group readings. I try to do no more than 2 a month, and that's about it with that. Occasionally I'll do 4 a day, and then once in a blue moon I'll do like a 30-minute day for people who can afford that, and pop in like 8 in that day.
Wow.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's a lot though.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. And people sometimes don't quite understand that. Yeah. They'll text me and need something tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And because I've known them for so long, I have to remind them that, there's people who've paid before you. They're super excited. People come from Tahoe, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, the East Coast came out, Florida, New York. And so for me, when I hear that, and babysitters and around their schedules, and I respect that you need me, but I also can only do so much for those who are scheduled to see me.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you experienced, I'm sure you have, a particularly profound or transformative moment during a reading or a session with a client? Can you share that with us?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably so many that are downloading right now, and I have to take into consideration, like I call it my own HIPAA law.
Yeah, for sure.
That I can't go into detail. It's why that way. But I've had quite a few moments for myself that I just shook my head, and I watched that person also equally shake their head. Let me think. The Neil Diamond was most recent.
Yeah.
And that just because the symbols and the signs were so fun. That when it happened.
That's creative.
Right. And I was like, that was dope.
Yeah, really.
Like
that was what a smart person he must have been.
Yes. But I've had people, I had actually a woman last week, her sister passed away, and there was no stuff left over. And I said, I think you have one item of clothing, and it's a leather jacket. She goes, oh my God, I love a leather jacket. And it's hers. It's the only thing I have of hers. I go, hold on. I go, there's something about her hands in the pocket. Can you go check the pockets? And I'm thinking we're going to find something in the pocket.
Yeah.
Nothing in the pocket. So I was on Zoom, and I'm like, I know, womp, womp, womp. So I said, now I'm seeing a vision of a mirror. So now I know where there's more to be said. So I said, a vision of a mirror. Do you happen to have a photo of her wearing that jacket with you? And she goes, yeah, I might. I don't know. I just took out some stuff from storage. I'm going through all the pictures and organizing them. And I said, all right, tell you what. There apparently is a photo of you and her by yourselves at a celebration or event, like a holiday or a celebration, of her wearing that jacket at her healthiest life in her life. And the two of you by yourselves, and I don't think you have it, but her hands are in the pockets on top of that. They're both in the pocket.
Oh,
in the picture.
cute. Yeah.
3 hours later, she found the picture and told her best friend. Her best friend wrote me.
Wow.
And was like, you don't understand. She had no idea she had that photo and how important the whole correlation was to it. So stuff like that for me, that will never leave her mind.
Yeah.
She's going to walk forward now knowing this is all part of that journey.
Yeah.
It happened also on a woman on TikTok. During COVID, I was watching her. She had lost her husband, and I think they had a child or two. I'm not positive. And she lost her husband, and he was showing me a white jacket, I believe, or a sweatshirt in a truck with a letter inside. And so I was like, I don't know, she was just doing videos of her grief. So I hit up the video and I said, I know this sounds weird, but do you happen to have a jacket in a pocket in a truck? Did you have a work truck? Because there's something in it for you to read. And I didn't hear anything from her for a while. And she was really deep in grief.
Right.
Like the cycle of grief that can shift your life. And so I get a tag in a video. And it's her. She's like on the video in the middle of the summer. It's hot out. And she's like, I don't know how to feel right now. This random medium hit me up on TikTok and told me, and I found it. I went to his truck. I found the jacket. There's a letter inside. And she's just like profusely crying.
You're going to make me cry. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I did start seeing the shift of grief to relief from that point on with her videos. Still went through it, but that was a piece that, I mean, she just sat there and just like leaning against the truck crying. Yeah. It was remarkable. So stuff like that for me is the reason why I do what I do. Mm-hmm. And also, I can now read myself. Wow. So my mom passed away, or my adopted mom, who's my aunt, passed away about a year ago. Okay. And since she crossed over, I now have new abilities. Like I can kind of see where someone did die before they crossed over, where they were at, where their body was at. That for me was a new thing. I can now start seeing bits and pieces of someone, where they're at and why they haven't crossed over yet. Yeah. And so for her, she came back again later, so I could then address the crossover process and where she's at now and what happened and like what her role was in her death. I also have a celebrity spirit. Oh, I'm not going to get into too much detail. But he and I are now friends.
What?
And so because he was part of a rock band and also correlated to a children's movie with a green ogre.
Oh, yep. I gotcha.
Yeah. When he pops in now, it means something. I'm so grateful that I've honed in on my abilities so strongly. And my mentor, I've never met her physically, but in the afterlife I have, is Sylvia Brown. And so I've watched her since I was 4 years old. Yeah. On a local TV station. You're probably too young for this, but a local TV station called People Are Talking. And I knew when I saw her that I told my parents, I know what she knows. She knows what I know. And from 4.5 or so on, all the way until to this day, I've followed her, read her books, done with her teachings, believed we're a little different. She used like God and angels in heaven, where I use like home and watchers and, different terminologies. I've never been shown heaven or hell. Wow. So I have that belief system. We are here all for the same reason, whether you're a murderer or a murdered person. We're all here for an experience to grow an empathy level in our soul we never had before. Amazing. Doesn't make it right. Right. If someone murders my family members. Right. I'm not going to feel the same way for that moment. Right. But I do understand that a murderer doesn't wake up one day as a murderer. They have a lot of stuff in their life they went through to have to become who they become and not just grown into it that way. Wow. That's amazing. So kind of thinking about that, how do you navigate ethical considerations in this practice? I do not. Yeah. I don't know how to. And no, you can't. I start off with that off Jumpstart. I swear. I talk about sex. I talk about violence. I talk about liars and thievery. And I talk about things that you're not comfortable with. And that if you're not okay with that, let me know before I start. Right. Or give me a sign or symbol during your recording, because I like people to record every single reading I do. That's great. That's my validation, my proof. Yeah. And so if you're not comfortable, pause that. We'll continue, or don't. Just give me a sign that we're not talking about this right now. But when it comes to ethics, my only ethics are your guys' and I guess the word I want to use is like the HIPAA law idea. Yeah. So like, privacy. If you're okay with me talking about it, you don't care if I share it, then it's off the table and I have you sign something. Right. If you don't want to talk about it, or I can use your story but not your names, then I'm do that too. Or if nothing at all, then I'll do nothing at all. Yep. Plenty of the people I read who are of affluent, like celebrities, no one knows I read them. Amazing. And I won't tell anybody I read them because no one's business. But it's interesting from anyone to anyone how their levels are different. Some people are excited to share share their story. Some don't want anything at all. So I just go off what you want.
Right.
And that's it. And I sit in a really, really white light. My goal is to make you happy and to make you have grief to relief. I want nothing more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And validate your feelings, emotions, and what you're guided towards.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Wow. So for anyone interested in developing their own psychic abilities, what advice or guidance would you offer?
My first and most important thing is a white candle. So I know it sounds so simple, but if you look at any teachings of almost any religion, any spiritual background, protecting yourself in the environment you're in is most important. So for me, I have 2 lit in my office every single day. I do one in the morning usually, not every day, but I try to. And if myself, I'm going to do meditation at home or I'm feeling like I brought something home. That happened a few times when I did not light a white candle at a group reading type of thing, is starting off with that and then do your research. So I think everybody has the ability to do something at a high, whether it's intuition, seeing spirit, dream state analysis, see colors, they can help people. For me, I feel like everyone has it. It's a matter of how you navigate through it. And I also have a new theory that the 12 signs are... I never told anyone this before. You're the first people to hear this. It's being written. It is there are 12 signs are put into quarters. So like 3, 3, and 3. I think you're born as a new soul. And so when you're born into a new soul, you start off at the not lower frequency, just a more vulnerable, open, excitable, you can tell they're young souls. Everything's exciting for them. An 80-year-old person who loves Christmas or a 12-year-old person who's exhausted at Christmas is an old soul. Right. So then as you go through your life cycles, you elevate to the higher, older soul level. So the first 3, the next 3, the next 3. And then my belief is the final 3. I'm a little torn on this one because I actually have it in a 4-pack, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Libra, and Pisces. But I'm kind of in the middle between the Libra and the Pisces for different reasons, but equally as powerful. And that's why people tend to find leaders and if you look up serial killers, they're all the same sign.
Really?
Which is very interesting.
Are they really?
They're like almost all the same. I think they're Sages.
Really?
Not positive.
Wow.
If there's a Sag here, I'm sorry. Don't kill me. If you do, I'll haunt you, so it's fine. I know what I'm doing.
She knows where to find you.
I know where to find you.
She knows. She's got people to ask on how to do it.
I just keep watching it happen. But collectively, they're all in the same vulnerable state. And why are they all that way?
Yeah.
And why are the ones who are leaders, and not because we're leaders, like we're like leaders of the country, which we should be, is the fact that we just have the intuitional knowledge to guide you with. We're also known as know-it-alls. So you'll have certain signs. Everyone's like, oh, they know everything. They think you're always right. If we have your best intentions, we're doing it because we do love you and we have your best intentions. As rude, as strong and rude we may come across.
Interesting.
Just with love, I
love that. Wow. Oh my goodness. What do you love most about your work?
I love taking a skeptic and becoming a believer. I like people who are believers to be blown away because they've done this with other people. They've already seen how this works. I also really, really love watching somebody I don't love watching anyone in pain, but when I see someone coming in, I've had it more recently with suicides, children's deaths, and spouse deaths. The spouse death, the spouse death, the tongue twister, makes me not. I'm in love right now. Right. And so it's terrifying because I don't think I've ever actually really been in love until now. Yes. So now that I know that feeling and it's immense, when I see their faces, it makes me so scared. Yeah. Same with children and same with suicides. I'm a suicide. I've attempted suicide 4 times in my life. Oh my goodness. So, and I haven't done it since 2012, but it's something that I had to deal with to get through life. The best I could, I thought. And so when I see those certain subjects and watching their faces come in usually hard, tired, with no hope in their peripheral, and giving them really deep, personal, especially relationship stuff when it's like the children to the mother, the husband to the wife, real intimate things that no one knows about. And then you can see them shift. And they kind of center themselves. And that, when they walk out of my office, I cry. I don't cry till they leave usually. Occasionally I cry, but it's because I'm usually overwhelmed. But to see them leave there a different person is the greatest gift I could ever give myself and anybody else. Mostly anybody else, but definitely myself to keep going. Yeah. I had a woman her daughter wrote me. She came in, I could tell she was kind of like, not defensive, but just kind of like, we'll see. Right. Let's see what's going to happen. And I asked certain questions when I start off my readings, like, do you talk to that person? And she's like, well, you ask a lot of questions, I'll jumpstart. I'm like, well, if you don't talk to your brother, why would I give you information? So before I dump my energy into what I'm receiving, if you haven't talked to him in 10 years, don't worry about it. Let's move on. Let's skip that, move on. So, and then she's like, oh, I get it. I'm like, I don't need to know anything personal minus what is given to me and is important to you. And you need to hear this.
You want to make it work.
And you can facilitate it out in the world.
Yep.
That sort of thing. So her daughter wrote me and she said she had not seen her mom in that condition in years. Like she physically saw her mom change and she was so grateful. And she's like, I'll see you soon. I'm going to book a reading. And I just thank you so much for what you did. And I think it bonded them closer because now they have this unfortunate subject that gives them healing and they can talk about it and they can experience it and then bring it home and have a new subject of healing to talk about versus pain and sadness and questions. Yeah.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want people to know about what you do?
I think one of the most important things I wanted to convey when I was on here was I understand the judgment and I understand the ridicule that I receive. I understand that people are high skeptics and I'm okay with that. It doesn't challenge me when someone says things to me that are rude and disrespectful, but that's not my issue. It's yours.
Yep.
I'm only here for the production of whatever the gift was I was born into, and my older son has the gift as well. But he's not willing to use it anymore, so that's fine. But at the same time, I'm going to use this as a way to help this planet the best I can by just giving grief to relief, and that's all I'm here for. People question a lot of things that I do, how I look, how I've lived my life, and I really don't care.
Right.
And so I'm here for the betterment of you and what you need to make your life better or get closure to somebody you miss. And that is it. I'm not retaining crystal information. I'm not doing anything that is like, when I was single, I had I call my woo-woo friends. And they're like, you want to meet somebody? And I was like, yeah, dude, I really do. I'm dating these different women and I'm just not happy. And I don't know what's going on, but it's a lot. And they said, you need to go do this. And it was like a drum circle at midnight with like rainwater.
Oh, cool.
And the full moon. And if you don't know me, I am not doing that. I've had a gummy and a glass of wine, and this girl's going to bed with her dog.
That's so funny.
So I had to create my own. And so I did. And now I have a ton of clients who are using my ritual I created, and they're meeting people left and right, and they're having very strong relationships that are that have been extremely helpful and powerful. And so whatever I can do to keep nurturing this, I'm going to keep doing. And I just want to make it clear that I know people say things, and I really don't care.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm living my best life.
Exactly.
Not about you, but I am.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, and if they are, they're probably not saying anything about you because they're happy in their own skin.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. So coming off of business, what are 3 fun facts about you personally?
I have a published novel from 2003.
Wow.
It's a novel that was written about Latvia.
Really?
I thought it was from Latvia, but I'm not because I'm adopted and they lied to me.
Oh my goodness. Is that what the novel's about?
No.
Okay.
It was like a nonfiction novel just about a kind of ghost story in Latvia.
Cool.
And that was kind of fun to write. It was good therapy when I was raising my kids, do something independent for myself. Yep. Fun fact. I love pugs.
Oh, pugs are so... Is that what kind of dog you have?
I did. I did. Yeah. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry on this camera / microphone /
No, it'll be on YouTube. It's camera.
Maybe that's not a fun fact. I don't know.
No, but pugs are awesome.
And I've had 6 last names.
Whoa, 6.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to share them or no?
Sure.
Yeah, let's hear.
I was born Jenessa Rossman.
Okay.
Spelled Genessa.
Oh.
I was then dad got money to get rid of me. He was in the mafia. So he left. Yes, he left. Oh my gosh. And my mom took me under my grandparents' last name, which was Lofgren.
Okay.
So it was Genessa. Lofgren.
So still G at that point.
Still G.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of like it, like G unit.
Yeah, that's cute.
Like Genessa.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then it went into my parents then facilitated this adoption.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter, but it wasn't the greatest. And did that. And I became Jenessa with a J.
With a J. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then I married my first husband when I was 19, I'm sorry, became a Warren. And then I married this... We're going to skip that middle last name. The middle husband's last name.
We're going to skip that one. Okay, but there's another one in there.
Research information.
Got it.
And then the last one was Wyatt, which I am right now. And he and I are still very good friends.
Awesome.
So I went through, it's funny, my partner this morning asked me, she goes, I know you have 4 last names. I go, I actually had 6. She goes, oh my God, are you working for the government? And I'm like, well, you never know.
That could be your next step, actually. You never know.
No idea.
Honestly.
Also, don't use 23andMe if you don't want your DNA stolen.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Yeah. I haven't used it because I do wonder why.
I mean, I did to find my family.
Yeah. Are you glad you did?
Yeah. I had a dream I had the dream about creating this business. Mm-hmm. I had the dream when I was 21 that said adoption's liar, no photos. So I went to my parents and I was like, I have to ask you a strange question. Just be honest. And they were like, oh God, Jenessa, you're always causing problems in our family. You're so dramatic. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When I was 34 or 32, they called me on my second honeymoon to say, by the way, you're right.
Whoa.
You're not our daughter and your dad's not even your dad. Whoa. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. You guys are the most awesome. You are a Norman Rockwell painting, if you ask me.
And also during your honeymoon.
Yeah, that's fine. It was a crap marriage anyway. So it was actually, that should have been a really good indication. This was not going to be a good thing.
That's funny.
So so all the different last names and I'm here now and I've survived a lot and like a lot of us have. Yeah. And I love that. I love that I can turn my pain into production for you guys.
That's amazing. Yeah. And those are some really good fun facts. I always get people with that and those were, right now you're at the top of the list.
Hey, I'm a winner.
That's amazing.
I'm also highly competitive.
Good. Well, look at that. You just won a gold star here.
And I also love gold. That's a double win. It's a double win for me.
I'm going to get you a trophy. That's so awesome.
That will go in the office.
So towards the end of each episode, I like to ask, is there anyone in your career that you'd really like to give a shout out to? Help to guide you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's probably a really long list if you, and it probably goes off of a lot of years of my life, but I probably wouldn't be alive today if I didn't have a handful of people. Number one, I want to say is my 2 sons. They're 26 and 23. And even though I had a suicide attempt when they were younger, in my life, they were probably the best thing I've ever produced. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for me being a mom so young. And that probably saved me in general. Wow. In general, I was quite crazy, if you guys can imagine. And so I made that, I still was crazy, but with boundaries. I have to say all my relationships, shitty and in between, are beneficial. I can't really say family. A few I've met recently, I love them and they're wonderful. And definitely my partner right now. Amazing. She's really centered me in a space that I didn't know I was capable of being. Wow. And being heard and being seen and having me slow my roll and breathe a little bit and not take things so dramatically because I sit in that anxiety space a lot. Yep. So different reasons, different times of my life, different lives I've had in the same life have different people who've helped me. Wow. But I have a really tight village in Hillary. Hillary too. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at probably yet without her, if ever, because I don't have that brain. I don't have that business brain. Yeah. And the She Can Club I've watched it grow and it's become something that I think needs to be showcased more because the underlining realness of what it is solely based on just empowering women to be powerful and be themselves and be flawed. And we all are flawed and see it for each other and not have any judgment. Yeah. So, yeah. Beautiful. My group of people. I love that. Where can listeners find you if they want to book you, if they want more information? So all my socials have links. They're all under Connect with Jenessa. Great. And then, of course, my website is Connect with Jenessa. I'm booked out a few months in advance. I do have, I'm not sure when this is airing, but I do have a coupon code. I'm going to keep it up for a little bit longer. Great. But I am booked out for a few months already. So when you can get in. Cool. Because I have a few things next month I'll be announcing. Ooh. So you can't announce it yet? I cannot. Oh, I want to know. One in May and hopefully one in June. And then one in June, maybe possibly July is significant to a lot of things. Very cool. Yeah. So I keep telling my clients, if you want to book, do it now. Do it now so you get the rate and you get me available. Yep. Because I want that so much. Wow. Yeah. Amazing. I want to clarify something too. One of the things you asked me earlier. Yeah. People keep asking why I want to be on television. And because it's going to be a celebrity show, they're thinking it's just because I want to have fame, which is great and dandy and wonderful. But honestly, when you don't know how to hit a platform, people who know who you are, the only way to do it would be to do something crazy and outlandish and fun and just like on a streaming channel, right? So the point of me being on the show or getting an agency, reaching for an agent, and all the things I've been doing isn't to become something bigger than I am as a person. It is so people who've never heard of me can access me, because my goal ultimately is to do this for a couple of years and then pull back and do the in-person at home at my office readings and Zoom readings. And everyone who's been seeing me is always grandfathered in anyways. So that was an important thing for me, is to keep that to where I'm accessible. No matter what happens.
Sharing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
I just get the people who sometimes are like, oh, look at her. Now she's getting all these things done. And I'm like, that's fine. You can judge me all you want. But when, Sarah from Ontario never heard of me, and I take her,
help her.
I can help her. And all of a sudden she goes out of her spin into a healthy place of grief to relief. And she had no idea who I was. That happened. Because they saw me on Spirit with Spirit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that sort of thing. So I just, I'm very excited for the journey, but it's still, again, in your guys' best interest, ultimately, first and foremost.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, but also thank you for sharing your gift with everyone. So that's amazing. So, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. It was a blast.
It was so good to meet you, and I really appreciate it.
It was wonderful to meet you guys too.
Thank you for listening.
Welcome to the Beyond the Vines podcast, where I interview local business owners in Sonoma County to highlight small business and grow our community. I'm your host, Amy Ehlers, a mom, realtor, and Sonoma County native, and I'm excited to connect you to some amazing people in this beautiful area that we call home.